Exactly. Despite the proposals that Macron made last week, we saw protests last Saturday and we're expecting some more today. But let's look at some of the announcements that Macron made last week. For instance, he said that there's going to be income tax cuts of 5 billion euros, pensions will be indexed to inflation, and bonuses of up to 1,000 euros will not be taxed. So these are just some of the measures he announced last week, part of this package that aimed to stop the protests, the Yellow Vest movement in specific. However, these measures are expected to increase the country's deficit in a way that is likely to breach the EU's fiscal targets. At the same time, they have not been effective in stopping these movements. However, though, it's important to note that his grand debate and all of these measures have actually helped his approval ratings, and they're now at about 30%, I should say, from a low of 24% last December.
So only 7 out of 10 people disagree with him in France at the moment, just to get that straight.
Yes.
What are the approval ratings of Madame Le Pen?
I'm not familiar with the approval ratings, but I know the polls heading towards the European elections, and it's very interesting to see that the Macron's party is polling first, but Le Pen's comes second, and there's only about a 1 percentage point difference at this stage. So neck and neck, exactly, and it's going to be very important the coming weeks, because we're just 4 weeks away from the big European election vote day, and of course the protests, how Macron reacts is going to either help or hinder his chances in the European elections that are very important for him. We have questions as to whether he will manage to shut down the nationalist rhetoric that we've seen.
Before Karen comes in, one thing that seems very clear, this is a pan-European story, the next European Parliament is going to be stunningly less Europhile, and you might want to correct me on this one, than the current European Parliament, which has a broad majority pro-Europeans from Farage's party, from the likes of the extremists in Italy and Germany and in the Netherlands as well, and now in France as well. There's going to be a huge cohort of anti-European parties and politicians within the parliament. That could change things dramatically, couldn't it?
Absolutely. At the moment, the polls suggest that we have the far-right parties getting more seats, proportionally speaking, that is, and we're likely to see the Liberals and the Conservative Party, as well as the Socialists, having to come together in order to form a coalition, something that has never happened before. In the past, it used to be the Socialists and the Conservatives, they would have a majority in the parliament, and that's unlikely to continue with the
ordinary scenario. Karen,
with the upcoming vote.
Come back directly to France, because a couple of things concern me. There's been some changes proposed from the president to try and stop the protests. One, to change the system around referendums, so more referendums can actually be called, so to allow people more of a say. The other is to change the makeup of parliament, so effectively to reduce the number of lawmakers in parliament by about 30%, change how seats are filled in the national legislature, which allows more diversity in parliament. It almost makes you get the sense of what's in this for Macron, other than immediately stopping protests. Is it almost a concession that next time round the populists could be in charge? You could have a huge change of government, and the only way that you can see a fight back by the Conservative parties and Socialist, Macron's new party, would be to have a voice past Macron, that if there is a change of events.
Absolutely, and the point is that he's trying to fight the populist rhetoric at home, but he also has to fight the populist rhetoric outside his country. Let's not forget that these measures that he announced last week are likely to increase the country's deficit, and that can be used by Salvini, by Italy, when autumn comes and Italy needs to present its 2020 budget. We've seen Rome and Brussels having a conflict before, and I spoke with different analysts saying that that's likely to come up again after the summer.
And they've got the bragging rights at the moment, haven't they? The data yesterday I thought was fascinating. We had that conversation with Lorenzo in the morning, and the indications were that actually the Italian data could be a little bit better. Well, in the event it delivered, which the Italian leaders can point to and say, you've all condemned us, but we're actually starting to get results on the growth front.
Exactly, but the point is that the European Commission has said before as well that France and Italy are two different economies. The measures that France has presented are likely to breach the fiscal rules temporarily, Whereas in the past, we've seen from the European Commission making clear comments that they're super worried about the Italian debt, I should say, and that has not come down. And the growth rate, we're talking about 0.1% here, is not going to help bringing that debt pile down significantly.
Hi, I'm Joanna Bersecci, and thank you for watching. You can check out more of our videos by clicking on the boxes on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more from CNBC International. Thank you for watching.